Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. Super excited to have on the show today a friend, a client, an awesome guy with great experience in the tax and advisory space, as well as mergers and acquisitions. So without any further ado, Cory Gayman, founder and CEO of JCG. Cory, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, Kip. I really appreciate it.
No,
I'm
my
glad to finally
pleasure.
connect. We've been talking for a while, so
I
good
know.
to get on together on here.
Yeah, we've been trying to get Corey on for quite some time, but with the tax season, the extended
Right.
tax deadline, this is perfect timing now. So yeah, I appreciate it. Well, maybe we'll kick it off just a little bit about your background. I always kind of start with people's origin story. What brought you to what you're doing now and getting into that M&A space.
Sure. Yeah, and I appreciate the origin story. Sounds like a superhero, doesn't it?
Yeah,
You
right,
kind of
exactly. And you got the nice background, like you're coming out of the
right.
forest. So
And I
perfect.
always, oh yes, I always appreciate that. At telling your story, and I ask my clients that also. That what's your story? Why'd you get into this business? How'd you get in? So mine really started when I realized I had an aptitude for accounting. I just started going that direction in school. Ended right up into a small firm in Springfield, Missouri. And really there kind of cut my teeth and learned how to run a small firm and work with small to medium sized businesses with their bookkeeping, payroll, all the way up to strategic advisory on their tax return. And that's one thing I try to instill in my younger employees and my entry level employees is every step of the way is important. And if you want to be able to run an office someday, if you want to have your own firm, if you want to be a leader here, you got to know every single step. So in that first job is really when I learned that. And then after about 7 years there, my wife and I decided we wanted to move back home to our hometown and started my own firm. Started with two offices at the same time, both from the ground up here in neighboring towns, and have grown over the past 10 years. Now we have seven offices here, kind of circling the Southwest Missouri area, including one in Girard, Kansas, and one in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So we celebrate our 10 years this year.
Oh, congratulations. That's very
Thank
exciting.
you.
No, absolutely. Well, maybe get into we kind of talked before we hopped on the show. Just both having an experience in M&A, but nobody really
Right.
talks about or you don't hear as much about the aftermath of M&A, the first 3 months, 6 months, 12
Mhm.
months. So maybe speak to a little bit of from your experience, what
Sure.
kind of what M&A looks like post deal.
Yeah, and at first hand, I have experience with it through acquiring firms. We've I think acquired seven at this point. Some were merged into current office, some were in brand new office, and a big difference between those two as well that we could get into. But when you're going through the process, and kind of what I was telling you before the show, when you're going through, it's exciting. It's sometimes quiet until you have to announce it. It's exciting and it's new and it's fun and maybe it's nerve-wracking, but it's something you're enjoying, right? For the most part. And then the real work starts after it happens, right? Yeah. Generally, that previous owner is either retiring or has other reasons they want to go away and they don't want to be involved anymore. We've had a couple deals where they did want to stick around, and we always ask, even if it's a retiree, to give us a little bit of time to transition your clients to make sure they're happy. So sometimes it's helpful there, but really the aftermath, so to speak, it sounds negative, but it's just work. You really have to build these relationships with the employees first and foremost, and hope that those employees buy into your culture because it's brand new, your system, maybe your processes, maybe your software. It's all new to them, and so you have to walk that line a little bit slowly and cautiously and make sure that they're comfortable because those employees are going to dictate the success for you at the next level. And then once you've kind of mastered that, or as you have mastered that, you work on the clients as well, transitioning the relationship. Um, so some of the bad parts, some of the negative parts is some people just don't like being told they were sold. And
For sure.
um, one time I had a guy say, I won't be bought and sold like cattle. I mean, he didn't even talk to me. He didn't even give us a chance. He just said that to the receptionist and took his stuff and went somewhere else. And it's really okay. You just have to kind of allow people to have the emotions they're going to have
Sure.
and act the way they're going to act. I mean, in our case with a tax and advisory firm, it's we have all your records. We have the guy who did it before, the girl who did it before. We're the best place for you logically, but sometimes they just can't quite get over that hurdle by being told that they can't work with their previous person. So um, there's usually some attrition. On the flip side of that, there is usually some excitement in the community or in the current client base that hey, someone new and usually younger, not always, someone new and more of the long-term goal is in here now.
Yes.
So generally, my retirees have told me this. Hey, they're watching me age and they're asking me each year if I'm going to retire and they want a warning. Um, but so they know something's coming. And so sometimes that creates some excitement and you actually get new clients. And if we wanted to relate this to a different business, I have also acquired other businesses in the past, and some were retail and a food service as well. And I've seen this in my clients many times. The one factor remains the same is you want to bring whatever culture you're going to create,
Mm.
you've got to get in there and you have to sell it to the employees, to the staff. And unfortunately, some don't ever get on board and they have to be let go or they leave. And they don't tell you when they're going to leave, they just take off.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So that's some of the aftermath. And then when it comes down to it, maybe you're doing this as an investor and then suddenly you're actually working. And so
Right.
then you have to figure that out again. And you, with your industry, helping us find, I mean, you helped me find an employee one time, and helping people find key role employees. You understand how difficult that is, and how
Right.
difficult it becomes on the owner when they've had to step in and do the job
Right.
when they didn't really expect to. So we acquired a firm last year in Tulsa, and we're still kind of working on that transition. It's just in our industry, deadlines rule,
Right.
and those
Right.
deadlines, when it's a deadline, that's what's most important. And then we can focus on, okay, do we need a new employee? Then we can focus on, do we need to change the procedures here? So, yeah, so far as I know I kind of went on a little bit there, but the aftermath of it can be positive, but there can be definitely some negative side effects that come from it. One other big thing to think about that really kind of slips people's mind is just cash flow.
Mm.
Depending on the industry, is it seasonal? Is it not seasonal? What time of the year did you buy it? Is there money coming in? Generally that previous owner, they had their full year cycle going and it was in swing, right? So they probably had reserves to cover slow times and,
Sure.
potentially they sell it to you in a slow time because they wanted to keep their reserves. And now here
Mhm.
you are, you've got to plan for that up front and then execute that plan after it happens, or cash can get tight. And
Yeah,
then you're fighting a different battle that can sometimes be difficult.
for sure. Maybe speak to building culture, core values
Yeah.
through M&A, and then how do you go about actually selling that to the new employees?
Right. And so, like I do, everyone communicates differently.
Hmm.
Everyone reacts differently. And generally my employees are all introverted and they need a little time. They need a little time to think about it. I come in and we've tried to be less aggressive, and we've learned each time we've done it. But if you come in and you just say, you know what, this is what we're doing, you're going to act like this from now on, it's just not going to work. They're going to be upset. They're going to start looking for another job. You have to just come in and introduce how we do it, and slowly maybe take stair steps and change things slowly. Um, that's what I've seen to be the best, but you do want to be very deliberate and intentional as well.
Mhm.
So while you're giving them time to cope, so to speak, or just come to terms with how the new way to do it is, or the new setup and the new support that they have, if you throw that all on them at once, it can scare people. And you know that employees that aren't business owners and aren't entrepreneurs, they like security and they need security. And that's okay. That's what they signed up for. And we try to continue that secure feel that they have in their job while slowly making those adjustments along the way.
Yeah. So maybe describe what is your culture or core values in the organization?
Yeah, so I really try to promote positivity. So I am a very firm believer that if you think negative and you speak negative and you then you're going to start acting negative, and then everyone else around you can kind of feel that. I believe that if you have a positive attitude, if you're a faith person and you stand strong on your faith, I do, that can exude out of you. And I think our culture, long way to answer your question, our culture starts with each person. And if that positivity and that positive attitude and that we are going to succeed in whatever we do, even if we break out into, if we have a team group going on, if we have the firm as a whole, as long as that positivity remains and that moving forward attitude remains, then that I would think that sums up our culture right there. And when someone doesn't buy into that, if we've always got someone that has a negative tone to them, honestly, they've weeded themselves out of our firm
Mhm.
because the darkness doesn't like the light.
Right.
So they will just eventually start looking for another job, and suddenly we see that they're leaving. So our culture, I would say, is hard work, and it is positive attitude, and it is standing firm in what you believe in.
Yeah, very good. How about just leadership? How has your your definition personally of leadership evolved over time and as you've then
Mhm.
done M&A deals and grown the firm?
Sure. I would say I have the aptitude as a natural leader. I've usually taken on leadership roles throughout my life in general. Firstborn, so that's how
Uh-huh.
we are.
Yep, I can
We take
relate.
charge. So my attitude on leadership though, and my understanding of it has evolved over time. So when I came out and started on my own, it was just me. And so I was doing everything, and then I slowly brought people in, and then I was leading, and then I realized these people actually are looking to me for not just advice, but also the direction of the company, the tone to set. They're looking to me for that, and so number one, first and foremost, it has to be by example. There really is, if you're not doing what you're asking, no one will follow. They just won't. So you can't be the leader that's just behind yelling at everybody. You have to be up front, moving them forward. And that doesn't mean, I've grown to a size now where I can't do every single task. I am not preparing every tax return or looking at them or touching them. I have other leaders now. But as long as I am a part of that group and helping that group to stay on focus and move forward, that's what I've had to become over time as we've grown. So that leadership has needed to evolve, and I believe in staying moving forward. I believe in working with my team as much as working on the firm itself. So definitely many hats when you're at the top of
Uh-huh.
the company, but need to be ready for anything too. So end of the day, it's all on me. It's all on the leader,
Right.
right? And so at the end of the day, if something needs done, you got to jump in and do it,
Yeah. No, absolutely. How
right?
about any particular leadership lessons that have proven particularly valuable for you?
So yes, and some hard lessons. Running a firm can be difficult, and especially when you're managing 20 to, we're between 25 and 35 employees, depending on the time of the year,
Yeah.
and just the season or what it is. But at some point, we talked a moment ago about, that negativity in an employee. I I've had to learn that I need to recognize that sooner and try to help fix that with someone sooner. Um, or that can spread, and that can spread, very toxic like a cancer. And you have to. We had that happen a couple times, and unfortunately, it was in the same office, and you could just sense it when you went in there. And now
Uh-huh.
all of that has left. Usually, I said it's on its own, but I unfortunately I have some personal. I get personally tied in occasionally, and sometimes you have to find that line and when you differentiate. Okay, I definitely care about this person. We're giving them an opportunity, but it's just gone too far.
Yeah.
And sometimes you need to know when to go ahead and cut them loose. And there were a couple of times when I waited too long, and it spoiled a couple other employees as well. And
Yeah.
that's another lesson learned. And I was open about that failure in my eyes to my other leader at that office and other leaders in general, that hey, we can't let this happen. We as a team, we need to recognize this better. I need to do better. I need your guys' help. So I believe in a collaborative effort on issues like that. because again, when there are 25 to 35 employees, I can't talk to everybody every day or even every week. I
Uh-huh.
don't see them for weeks at a time sometimes. So I need my team to also be part of the leadership.
Yeah. How about servant leadership? How does that play into your
Mhm.
philosophy in fostering the culture of success you have in the firm?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mentioned a moment ago, I'm a man of faith. I have a great walk with Jesus Christ, and
Yeah.
he led by example with that servant mindset and that servant leadership attitude. So my primary goals, my employees start to feel more like family, which
Uh-huh.
I was talking to my wife about that this weekend. As her husband and as the leader of our family, they're my primary obligation, and then my employees start to feel like an extension of that, a next level away. But
Yeah.
still, I start to feel an obligation to these people. It can lead to holding on too long, like we talked about, but it's not a bad thing. You are there to serve the people that are under you, the people that are serving you. It's a collaboration. It's a mutual benefit relationship. And so, we want to find good benefits for them. We want to make sure that we have a good ongoing concern of the company. We want to make sure that the clients we bring are good clients for them. That's another topic that can hurt your culture is if I have a client that is rude or just over the top, and they can become toxic, and that can start to seep into an employee. So we have had some of those, and I've cut them loose. I have always tried to immediately take action when there's a situation like that, so that my employees and staff know that we stand behind them first. And I was talking to a younger employee about this that had to deal with this the other day, and there's still a big part of the clientele base that feels like client's always right.
Hmm.
Always. Well, it's just not true. Sometimes you are, sometimes you're not. You don't just get to call and demand our immediate attention and demand that we do something. And then, maybe throw a little fit too. So
Uh-huh.
we've had some clients, we just say, you're just not, no, we'll finish this, but you're not welcome back next year. Please don't come back.
Yeah.
And I think stepping up and doing that shows my staff and my team that, hey, I'm here for you. Yes, they pay our bills, but I'm here for you. We're going to grow this together. We're going to have a healthy client, employee, client firm relationship.
Yeah. And that's such a powerful thing. I mean, number one, it is the best feeling in the world to cut
Right.
loose a bad client.
Yes.
And everyone knows they're bad. But then just
Yes.
to your people to show them like I am here for you. I have your back. I'm supporting you.
Right.
I know this is a tough person or a horrible group to
Right.
deal with. And I choose you team
Right.
versus this
And sometimes
company.
that's counterintuitive to business because you're here to
Right.
make money, right? And they pay
Right.
you money. So we want to keep everybody, but you start to realize, okay, sometimes the bad outweighs the good on
Yes.
that one, and we've just got to move forward with it. So, and I think the team does really respect and appreciate that, and I think it's a good point to have to them and to be honest with them about it. There's nothing we need to hide there. Just say, look, this
Yeah.
this isn't working with that client. They're calling and cussing you out every day. We're not going to do this anymore. They don't need to treat us like that. So occasionally, I have called the client and just been very deadpan, blunt to them that they need to change. And I've given them an opportunity to
Uh-huh.
change. And some 50-50 they do or don't. Or sometimes that call makes them take off,
Right.
because
Yeah.
they feel like they got in trouble.
That's true.
Right.
How about kind of diving deeper into employee development? What types of things do you do to ensure the ongoing growth and
Yeah.
development of your employees?
So really trying to make a hard turn focus toward that even this off season. And ideally we have a little more off season in the summer, but this year we were wall to wall through 10-15 and still got stragglers that are just after the due date. Um, but I always encourage and promote my employees to better themselves. Right now I have one that's working. She just finished her EA, which is enrolled agent, and she's
Okay.
working toward a master's degree, and she's working toward, maybe even farther, maybe a full CPA. And she's a non-traditional student. She's going back to school for that, but she's
Okay.
encouraged by what we're doing and the future that she could have, that she's taken the initiative. Um, then I have some graduates that have come out and are working toward their CPA or working toward, and what I've tried to do is give them ample time to get that accomplished. As far as, maybe they want to work part-time at this moment so they can get through that. But then I have some that, they have all these years of tax experience. Hey, let's just study and let's take this enrolled agent exam. Let's get some initials behind your name. You will have that with you forever if you want that, and you can work for me forever. Or you would have you'd be empowered to go start your own if you want. I'm honest with them about that I want what's best for them personally, not just what's best for the firm.
Yeah.
And so, um, what I don't do though is I don't pay for their school right away. I pay for past exams. And so I've in my mind, there's a line there that I need them to want to go do it.
Hmm.
I need it to start in them. If I just take care of all this stuff for them, they might not appreciate what they have accomplished because it is their accomplishment, not mine. And so
For sure.
I try to promote that atmosphere that they can improve themselves, they have the ability, and I, cut back their hours if that's what they need to do. Or we've actually this year, as kind of a side note, we moved to a 32-hour work week
Okay.
overall.
Huh.
So this is a stressful industry, a
Yes.
very, very
Yeah.
stressful industry. So during tax season, they're generally going to work still more than 32. There's generally going to work, but we close the office on Fridays. And
Okay.
on Fridays, we try to they get to work on stuff that they have setting or clean up or get ready for the next week. But then in the off season, yes, Friday is just part of the weekend. And it's nice. I'll tell you what.
Very nice.
It's it's just a game changer. And during the week, everyone just works a little more efficiently.
Yeah.
They get their stuff done and they get out of there. Um, Sometimes I feel like if they're just at the office all the time, it just becomes their place to be.
Yeah.
And maybe they're not working quite as efficiently because they know they're going to be there for another 4 or 5 or 6 hours and they know they're coming in on Friday. But if you take that away and you really make that part of the culture that, hey, we want you to take a day for yourself, do whatever you want, um, then the rest of the time they're working just a little more quickly, a little more efficiently, and then they know they got that day off, and it's 3 day weekend every week for the rest of the year. So it's really been a game changer. One of my staffers said, "Hey, you probably extended my career another 6 or 8 years because
Uh-huh.
I can't continue at that breakneck speed all the time. But if we slow it down a little bit, I can work for a while." And I'm starting to view quality of work and quality of life over quantity and pushing out mass numbers
Yeah.
of, tax returns.
Yeah. Yeah. And you really kind of lead into my next question, which is your approach to attracting and retaining high
Mhm.
performance leaders within your firm.
So at the moment, you've helped me in the past, and
Uh-huh.
we had a good experience there. But since then, I have really grown from within, and like I mentioned a few examples a moment ago, I've got 4 or 5 that really are taking the next step and moving to the next levels right now. So at the moment, we're kind of more in a backfill
Okay.
process. We
Yeah.
have 4 students on staff, all of which are going toward degrees. We have, and 3 of those likely to be CPAs. So we have a good farm system, if you will,
That's amazing. Yeah.
coming
Right.
through. And so at this moment, actually, you and I can talk later. I might be in need of somebody right now, but we haven't put out for a big player yet, or needed to. I'm really proud of the development within the firm, and I want them to have that opportunity first to step up, improve themselves, and take on the next role. And what I'm excited about is I have multiple people that want to do that.
That's amazing.
You can definitely run into employees that don't want, they just want to stay where they're at, and perfectly fine. There are those employees, and they are good workers. But I also really get excited when I see someone says, "Hey, I want to go to the next level. I want to do more. I want to run this office for you in the next 2 years." And
Huh.
I've got 4 of those right now, and
That's
I'm excited. That's
incredible.
what I'm excited about.
Yeah. That's absolutely incredible.
Yeah,
How about any trends, opportunities you're seeing in the market that you're most excited about, and then maybe how you're positioning yourself to benefit
sure.
those?
Yeah. So, I hate even saying the word, but we had a big shutdown a couple of years ago, and remote
Yeah.
work really took off. But we already were doing it. We
Uh-huh.
I started 10 years ago, 2014, and I moved to a small town too. So from that day, I was preaching remote relationship to my clients. Hey, you don't need to walk in here and sit down for 2 hours and tell me all the numbers that I can just look at myself. You can send these in, you can drop them off, you can send them in over my remote service, my portal, and we can do this more efficiently. I've been preaching that since then. And with after my second year, I got an IT guy at a third party, and he put me into this server system that connected all my offices, and it was amazing.
Okay.
So all the offices share one screen basically. We share the same computer,
Huh.
but it's not a physical computer that we have. It's in the cloud, right? So that changed the game for us. Now we each have a laptop. We take our laptop wherever we go. We just access the server. It doesn't even have files on it. So that was a really game changer then. That I tell you that to get to your question now. We were already there. And so when the shutdown happened, we just went home and got back to work. And all the clients and really other preparers we saw kind of really got stuck because they didn't have this in place. We already did, so that we grew a little bit during that time. And we have now been able to, instead of focus on that, we've fine-tuned it. We've moved into what's next. And so I am excited about what AI is bringing to the
Right.
bookkeeping world,
Yeah.
to the tax strategy and tax planning world, because it can run scenarios faster than we can, and it can do research that I can just go, double check and make sure it looks good. We're excited about the efficiencies that brings, but then also the expansion of remote work. Now I can hire people that they're not here in this town. I can hire someone that's in California or Minnesota or New York, and
Uh-huh.
they can just be a regular employee like everybody else because my employees all have remote relationships with each other
Yeah.
in the different offices. We all work together as one firm, and really we've kind of gone away from this office, this office, this office, and it's more like a group
Hmm.
or a pod, if you will, of people that work on a project together, or they share a client and they work together. So we've really got to we've moved to this place where we feel like a remote firm already, and now we're attracting clients and employees that are full remote.
Yes.
And it just changed the game on the employee, on the employee pool that I could potentially tap into, and the clients that we can attract that enjoy that process.
That's great. Yeah, it's yeah.
So,
Our firm's the same. When
yep,
all the government lockdowns happened, we were already positioned because that's how we were set up, and
right,
being able to just put the pedal to the metal instead of freezing like the rest of the world.
right. And it was middle of tax season for us, and so
Yeah, right.
we went home. I think we probably skipped a couple of days, but
Uh-huh.
it's like everybody, we just need to get back to work next week. Just start contacting your clients, contact them over phone and remote, and let's just get it going. We even had a phone system that we could log into. It was a VoIP system, so we could just log into from our cell phones and be using the office phone from home.
Yeah.
So that was even, that way you're not giving out your cell phone to everybody.
Right. Right.
When you have as many clients as we do, that's not a good thing.
Yeah, right.
Right.
How about any particular strategies that have proven most effective for identifying and then capitalizing on like high growth opportunities? Maybe how you've looked at the other
hmm
offices,
hmm
just kind of when you see an opportunity, how do you identify or quantify those?
Yeah, so a couple different ways there. So we've enjoyed some natural growth for sure, in our local areas, but then as we have increased our online presence, we have really made LinkedIn and Google Ads, and we really got an online presence and online strategy going, and we've seen some clients come in that way too. So that in itself, for our firm in particular, is one of those growth strategies. So that we hadn't tapped into yet. Along the way, as I was doing acquisitions, we focused on the local market and we focused on the client base that we acquired because we needed to be able to handle what we had before we really stretched out.
Uh-huh.
Now the word of mouth, has gone out into the communities, and hey, again, new management, usually younger people, more long-term style firm is here, and so we've got quite a bit from that. But for us, a bit of a new frontier is who's coming in online and is exclusively online.
Uh-huh.
So we're really just trying to focus on that And in the local communities, these are mostly small towns that I'm in. Someone from the office just needs to be involved. Needs to
Mhm.
get out, needs to go to chamber meetings, needs to go to nonprofit events.
Uh-huh.
And last year, I hired a marketing director. You talked to her. She's the one that helps
Yeah.
me also set up things like this, Melanie.
Yeah.
But she goes out and she just goes to these things, and she loves it. It's what she enjoys to
That's
do. It's what I
awesome.
hired her for,
Right.
and she just has our name out there everywhere. And then sometimes she's like, "Hey, this guy wants to set up a meeting," and that's great. Or we just get a call later. Yeah, I ran into Melanie at this event, and I just thought I'd give you a call. We're looking for somebody. So um, for us, we're not really industry specific on who we serve,
Okay.
but we do small, medium-sized businesses is really our bread and butter. That's where we can help someone the most. We have the most tools in place. We can assist them with their payroll. We can do their bookkeeping. We could just review their bookkeeping if they already do it, financial statements all the way through doing their tax returns and then the owner's tax returns as well. So, those 1 to 50 employee style businesses, that's where we really do our best work.
Okay. How about any particular challenges that you faced as building the business? And then if so, how'd you overcome those?
Yeah, the transfer of culture and the cash flow. That just seems to be that's why I mentioned those earlier in the aftermath of an M&A.
Yeah.
But as the business grows, you have clients come in and then you realize, okay, I need to have a employee that has fully bought into our system to serve clients. And then you stair step that because an employee can handle so many, and then more clients come in and you need to hire another one. But usually you're chasing the cash flow because generally you need that employee up to speed, but maybe tax season hasn't quite arrived. So you haven't done
Uh-huh.
any work for anyone yet. So how do you overcome those? You just have to project. You have to project and see it coming, and hopefully have good relationships with potentially a banker if you need anything to get you through dry seasons. Um, with us, there's an inherent dry season, and so with doing acquisitions, we've been able to sort of overcome that most of the time. But occasionally, you have to give the banker a call and say, "Hey, I just need to get through 3 more weeks," and then here we go.
Uh-huh.
So it's a it's just projecting it and knowing your numbers and knowing where you're at. And the advice I give to clients is just you need to know. Many times we have clients that show up to us in the summer or in the fall after the year is over, and that's the first time they've looked at their bookkeeping. And
Huh.
they're 18 months away from it at that point.
Yeah.
And they're calling me saying, my banker needs this so I can get my loan. And I'm like, okay. And then we put it together and they're like, well, I thought I made more money than that. Well, you didn't. Here it is. We did it. And well, what can you change it? No. I mean, we're past the planning stage. The planning
Yeah.
stage, honestly, is right now. And for myself and my own firm, I'm doing my own tax strategy and planning, but we are really pushing our tax strategy meetings right now. Like in November before Thanksgiving, I want to have as many tax strategy meetings as I can. So we're calling clients that we think are a good fit for that, and we're putting it out there to potential new clients and clients that maybe we didn't know would need it. But if we can just have a conversation right now, even if it's 30 minutes or an hour conversation, and talk about where you stand, it might at least make you realize, oh, I need to get this stuff put together now.
Uh-huh.
And then, okay, I didn't realize I made that much money. And I'm not going to advise you to go spend it, right?
Right.
But I'm going to advise you to be ready for what's coming. And if you did plan on spending something, maybe you're pulling that into this year instead of next year.
Uh-huh.
Some timing issues. Um,
Sure.
I'm not the go buy a new truck every year CPA.
Yeah.
I always feel like guys are trying to get my permission to do that so they can justify it, but I'm just not going to.
Yeah. How about we talk a lot on this show about free markets, capitalism. In what ways
Mhm.
has embracing the free market system and capitalism benefited your business model?
Uh, Through and through, since I was a little kid, I'm a free market capitalist style
Uh-huh.
person, right? An entrepreneur at heart, always. And so, and then you get into school and you start to realize, hey, that's economics. That's really how this works.
Right.
Supply, demand, and all of these issues, and then how the market reacts to those things. So in our business, we've seen it change. We've seen it evolve. And when I started, so it was 2007 when I started that firm in Springfield. It's 14 years ago now. the way to do things was still drop off your bookkeeping once a month, do your tax, literally in document form. Then at the end of the year, do a tax return. What I started to realize was clients, their demand for that is going down. I don't see any young clients coming in that want that process. They just don't want it. So we had to adjust our process. So we moved more to cloud-based style accounting software. We embraced QuickBooks Online, which I don't know, it seems to be getting more expensive every day. So we've looked at other alternatives for there too. But
Uh-huh.
we that online collaboration with clients because they did want, they were getting more tech savvy as well. They knew how to download their transactions. They knew how to maybe enter their check register. Well, instead of worrying about a file transfer, we just all got in together and we could reconcile, we could get them statements right away. It made the process faster. And I
Yeah.
felt like that's what the new level of business owners, that's what they wanted. I hesitate to say new generation because it's just new business owners of all ages, right?
Sure.
But they were realizing, hey, there's faster ways to do this. And like as business owners, we're extremely busy. So
Hmm.
if they can save an hour a week, 30
Yes.
minutes a week, or, and especially at tax time, if you have to go to your tax preparer and sit there for 2 hours, I mean, that's
Yeah.
like kills a day.
Right. Right.
So,
Right.
especially if it's in a different town. So we started to realize the demand had shifted. The demand didn't want that process anymore, and it was moving to a different process. And so we came in with the supply, right? So we adjusted our processes to get there. Then along the way, it's starting to now, even today, it's shifting into more, they want strategy and advice,
Uh-huh.
not necessarily just transactional, financial statement and tax return. I'd say most of them, they want more real-time numbers. And so the monthly financial statement, uh, almost nobody wants that anymore. The
Uh-huh.
only need for that or demand for that is honestly from the bankers if they
Yeah.
want it. So
Right.
um, the business owner wants to know this week, how was last week? Or, how are we doing? How are we projected this week? What deposits are coming in? So we try to set them up with tools. We don't get that deep with
Hmm.
our clients. We don't get into the fractional CFO side of things. I
Yeah.
have great referrals if someone needs that, but what we do is more try to we stay a little bit surface level, but we're getting tools in place for them so that they can see their data a little faster.
Oh, very good. How about in what ways are you advocating for capitalism and free markets outside of your like direct business activities?
So my wife and I, honestly, here in our small town, we are strong promoters of just small business in general and local small business also. So I have nothing against the big guys, right? They did it. They
Right.
accomplished what we're trying to accomplish.
Right. Right.
So
Yes. Right.
nothing against them, but I just promote that spirit of business ownership and entrepreneurship within families or within, an individual. So that I see that as freedom. I've been told, hey, you seem to be working more now. I was like, yeah, but I'm doing what I want to do when I want
Right.
to do it.
Yeah.
I just had a banker the other day say, well, these people, there's a factory here. Why don't they just get a job at the factory? They'll be secure forever. Well, they own you then. I mean,
Uh-huh.
sure, the factory did great. They attained success. This guy wants to be a small business owner now. Let's encourage that. Because he wants that freedom to control his destiny, right?
Uh-huh.
And you have to look at, okay, what can I sell this product for? What can I buy it for? Um, one, cost is a driver of your sales price, but not always. Sometimes people are willing to pay more and you're able to charge more. But then sometimes that wanes as well, and you got to be ready for that too.
Uh-huh.
So I think I mentioned earlier, we had a small restaurant that was a quick service restaurant, just drive through only. And over the last 24 months, prices, shot up. And it was very difficult to balance all that and get it to where, suddenly the supply was more expensive. And we had to figure out, is the demand going to keep up with this? It sort of did, but the consumer they're always willing just a little slower to increase their price point,
Right.
but that vendor never really goes back down. Once they
Right.
come up, their cost is going to stay there. So we actually ended up selling that business. It just the long term of it was we just weren't sure, and it was taking more time than we needed. But
Yeah.
I embrace fully the capitalism and the free market society that we have,
Hmm.
and I hope that it continues to be as such.
Yeah. Any particular common misconceptions of capitalism that you encounter? And If so, how do you address those?
Yes, that it's bad. I mean, it's not bad.
I know.
It's to sum it up, it's the American dream. It's the American
Yes.
way. I did my big research paper in college, and I called it S Corps, the American Dream, because it was,
Perfect.
they weren't really new then, but it still was kind of new in some people's eyes, right? These older
Mhm.
business owners. And it was just like, we have this option now where this small guy can actually get some benefits of being a corporation. They can still be able to easily transfer money in and out, but they can actually do this. They can take steps forward to grow and to become what they want to become. And if that's just growing a business to where you have a solid job till you retire and sell it, that's fine. If you want to, if that's, we're going to grow this, we're going to add locations, we're going to be, top of the line, and we're going to have leaders, and we're just going to be an investor. That's great too. The
Mhm.
options and the ability to control your own destiny. So the when we get told that this is bad, or you're controlling people, or you price gouge, that's another big thing you hear
Uh-huh.
associated with capitalism. It's just not true. It's
Right.
the laws of economics are pretty close to natural laws. They
Right. Right.
they happen, and we are reacting or being proactive based on what we know about them. So I really cringe and I get frustrated when I hear that, capitalism is a bad thing, because that is what this country is founded on. We were
Yes.
a bunch of rebels that took out the dictatorship
That's
and
right.
founded a
Yes.
country on freedom and free spirit, and freedom to have control your own destiny. And it still separates us from many countries in the world. So, yeah, you're going to get me a whole different soapbox if we keep going this
No,
route.
this is awesome. This is great. How about any particular advice you'd give to, young entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs, folks coming out of the factory that are going to start their own
Yeah,
thing? Any advice you give to people starting out in
yeah.
entrepreneurship?
So you get your ducks in a row, but don't wait for the perfect time. So uh, every time you wait for it to be absolutely perfect, you're just going to keep waiting, because it's
Uh-huh.
not. So at some point, you have to take that step. You have to merge, so to speak. My kids like this movie, Onward,
Yes.
where
Yeah.
he's trying to merge into the traffic, and he's like, I'm too scared, I don't want to do it. And the other guy just says, you can do it, just merge, and they just go. Then they just go, and then they're fine. And
Yes.
you just have to do it. So I always tell my kids, just merge. But um, but the point of that is, though, at yes, you can be prepared, and you need to be, and you need to check your boxes with your professionals. You need to have a good attorney that can help you with setup. You need to have a good accountant or CPA that can help you, and potentially a good investment advisor. They don't need to be up front, but they might be a little later. That triangle of professionals can help you to have a long-term goal, a short-term goal, a ongoing goal, and they really need to be in communication with each other too on you, and
Yeah.
hopefully you got a good team there. But if you get your funding in place and you get your plan in place, I say just do it, just merge and go for it, and be ready for it to be a little bit of a struggle. The biggest misconception is, okay, I started my own business. How do I pay myself? I'm like, okay, do you have money to pay yourself? And usually, well, I need a paycheck. And I'm like, okay, we might have forgot this part. You have to make the money. The business has to be profitable for you to get a paycheck. So we really need to analyze this first and make sure you feel like you can take money out. And then let's get something set up so you get a regular paycheck. Because that's the hardest thing, is going from that regular weekly or biweekly paycheck to,
Yeah.
nope, not unless there's money in the account.
Right.
And sometimes you need more money in the account, and you have to put money back in. So as long as you know those things might happen, and you're good with it, and you're ready to take that risk, go for it. But don't make sure it is a risk, and there
Mhm.
will be some times when it's lean, and you just got to be ready for them. And the tough will make it through that. And if you're willing to do whatever it takes, then you can succeed.
Yeah. How about looking back, any particular decision or action that you took that you'd say was, pivotal to your success?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the initial action of starting on my own was a big deal. And it, just like I said, I went through all those same emotions on, should we do this, should we not, giving up the comfort of a weekly paycheck. So once you do that and you're wholeheartedly into it, and you're willing to do anything to make it succeed. Once you get past that, you're kind of catapulted forward, and if you keep that energy going, you move forward. Once I started acquiring practices, one thing I realized was I needed to maintain a few of these relationships with these retirees that had been there, done that.
Uh-huh.
And even if they didn't do it like I'm going to, it's still great to have that relationship and hear their story and hear their origin story, which could have been 50 years ago. But
Yeah.
if you maintain those relationships, then I'm saying that is my decision here is making sure I listen to that generation of people, pay attention to what's happening now, and then truly listen to the next generation as well. I have a few employees in their 20s, and I try to involve them in everything I can, and listen to what they're saying because they're the next leaders, and
Hmm.
so we need to create a company that serves top to bottom. So just that's the decision here is listening to those people. Yes, in the end, I'll make the choice. I'll make the decision. But if you've got a little bit of advice from everybody, you can make the best decision.
Uh-huh. How about legacy? How are you working towards or
Yeah.
thinking about building a legacy through your business ventures?
Yeah. So we try not to look too far down the road. We try to make sure we're living in the here and now and working on things and not getting um, off track because we're trying to force something. So, like I mentioned to you, I put a lot of faith in just walking by faith
Uh-huh.
and listening and making the right decision when it comes up. I've always said that I'm an opportunist, and sometimes that is changing or not changing when an opportunity comes up. But as far as legacy, yeah, I built a firm here. I would love for it to last into the future, but I'm not too naive to think that I'm not going to become the biggest one, right?
Uh-huh.
There's significantly bigger fish out there, of course, and eventually that could be part of the process. You just never know. I don't want to shut my mind off to anything really, any possibilities or opportunities that God might put in front of me. So we kind of walk slowly on that and try not to nail down what the legacy is that we've left. But I hope that it's of a positive firm, of a positive impact to each community that we're in and to our employees' lives. That's where I really think the legacy lives on.
No, excellent. How about we'll kind of maybe close with this, just
Yeah,
success. What's your personal definition of success? And you can take that any direction you want.
sure. Um, so success, and this really probably ties back to that legacy pretty well, is knowing that the impact you made in a community, on people, on my own family, on my children, that they remember what we did here and remember it positively, and that it was a good thing. So I enjoy hearing stories from my employees about we're able to do this because of working for you. We love working for you, that sort of thing. Yes, there's always negative ones, and they move themselves out. But to me, success is that impact. Yes, I could end up, maybe this grows to $100 million firm. I likely not. I mean, that's really big. But I don't know if that would be a success. I don't
Hmm.
know.
Uh-huh.
At that point, you'd have, okay, maybe 300 employees, and maybe it's not. Maybe it's in turmoil all the time.
Uh-huh.
So, I try not to tie our success to money and just tie it to the people and tie it to the impact we're having. And I think that end of the day, what we're trying to do is give a good service to our clients. Yes, we want to grow. Yes, we want to be profitable. I want all my employees to be very comfortable and pay good wages. But when we see our clients succeed, me and all of my employees, that makes us happy and excited too. So you have these little successes all along the way, and if we can continue that train, that positive direction, I think that's the big success.
That's awesome. Well, good. Well, Carrie, this has been absolutely a pleasure. So thank you so much. And yeah, any parting words before we
No,
go?
yeah, thanks, Kip. I really appreciate you having me on. I'm happy to entertain if anybody does want to contact us. I mean, we have a website, jcgcpafirm.com, and you can find me on LinkedIn as well. And like I say, we're trying to grow our practice remotely. So if you don't have to live in one of the cities that is listed on our website to be able to work
Uh-huh.
with us. And the CPA license, yeah, it's from a state, but we can work remotely with anybody. So in all the states, that's another misconception that people think we can't work with them if they're out of state. Well,
Okay.
remotely we can. It's no big deal.
Yeah.
So,
No, excellent.
but as far as parting words, I love your podcast. I like the capitalist. As soon as I saw the title, I was like, "Yep, that's Kip, and
Thank
that's
you.
me." So
Thank you. Perfect.
that we relate on that very well. I think if we can do another one sometime, we'll just talk about that soapbox of capitalism.
Yes,
So,
absolutely.
but no, I appreciate having me on. No, it's been a lot of fun.
No, that's awesome. And we'll share all your socials and website and all that stuff will be in the show notes. So
Very good.
people can
Very
reach
good.
out to you. But thank you so much, Corey. It really was a pleasure. It's great to see you live on the camera
Right.
here.
Right. Yeah, we're just on the phone. Yeah. Thanks, Kip. Have a
All
good
right.
one.
Thank you.